Holy cow, Deb, what the heck are you doing now? Well, I have Davy's little Visa hut, and it needs to be sealed. So what I did is there was a little bit of mold growing in here, so I unstapled the screen with a screwdriver, just lifted it out, and I got out my torch. And just be careful with this, but this is your friend right here, these little torches. If you have one of those long lighters on a stick, that might work, but you need a little bit of heat. And I got out my quarter cable heat gun, and it just didn't give me the heat I needed to seal the wood like I want to do. And so what I did is as a beekeeper, I had an old beekeeper in town, and he said, Deb, the best thing you can do for your beehives is to torch the inside of them and char it. And so I did not take these screens out. I just torched around them, but they look good. And then I put some beeswax in here and kind of melted that in a little bit, and it helps to seal the wood. But when you char the wood, like all the mold that was in here, and anytime you have sugar, you're going to grow mold easily. That's what they put in petri dishes in laboratories, so sugar water will grow mold easy. So what I did is I just torched that, and that's going to kill any mold spores in the wood, deep in the wood. And a lot of patients have chemical sensitivities, so this is an excellent way to not add chemicals, okay? So a torch will kill those molds out. And then I've got some beeswax from my hive, and I just coated that inside of there with beeswax and restapled in the screens. So now what I did is I took the outside of this and I rubbed it down with some coconut oil. And I heat gunned it. I wanted to leave it plain, but it's just didn't get it hot enough, and I want to show you why. Okay, now once again, these are plastic in here, so I don't want to shoot my flame down in though, because I'll melt those screens. And I did take off the little nylon nuts here, but we're not going to focus heat around these either. And this is not really doing much. You can see here that there's not any real change to the surface, but this wood right now on the top is hardened. It's hardened off, and the resins will boil out. Like when I come around these knots, you'll see these like resins that boil up, and they kind of cook off, and that's good because these are adding fumes into your bees, your beehives, and your enclosures for your apitherapy. And the bees don't like that. And those, you'll see that they'll put their propolis over earlier and cover those up to get them to not smell. So they're chemical sensitive. But if you watch this, and you don't have to use the coconut oil, I was going to not burn the outside. There you go. See that little flashy bit? So you're cooking off those resins. See those flashy bubbles that are white? That's cooking off those resins. The bees don't like that. There's a little wax there. See that little flash? That's what we're trying to get rid of. And then see these little fibers, how those burn off? Now that becomes a really soft surface for your bees. And we all heard stories about, bees taking up a tree trunk after a fire. And this is why, because it gets rid of all of the surface molds and spores, any kind of bacteria, fungus. It's just sterilized nicely. And it makes it soft. So there's not pokey bits anymore. And it helps to convert these gases, and I don't really want that to flare off on me. A little too much heat there. But it's so nice to seal up that wood. And a lot of people are putting these inside of the butterfly enclosures and letting the bees walk around on them. And that's fine. But this is going to help seal it. So, what I do when I go to wash this, I'll take a little steel wool and just a little water dripping and go with the grain of the wood and just kind of scrub off that surface a little bit. And I'll tell you what, you burn like this, and you're really sealing up this wood, the pores and the fibers and all, and you're getting out that, sealing up that pitch. That looks pretty good. And so now that coconut oil has kind of boiled in, and this surface is just really nice. In this really darkened area, we can hit that with a little steel wool or a little sandpaper, and it'll even out the way it looks. And this end grain here, we'll get that sealed up really nicely now. You see there's a little wood putty filler. It doesn't do well being burnt, so don't try to change the color on that. So there's some more of it here in these little pins. It's probably not really necessary to do, but it won't change color. Look at that. That's like a coconut oil boiling off. Oh, it's kind of cool. It's like she's almost flying. Alright, so we're going to get this sterilized. Now see, here's some of the potty stains, and we're going to kind of make that disappear now. And I have a garden hose that's turned on over there, so I'm ready to deal with fire. But just don't let it get hot. That's the secret. That's a pretty piece of wood they used. Look how that cooked off. Okay, let's get to seal that up. It's kind of like bacon frying in a way. Alright. So you guys get the idea. So it's not too hot. You're not trying to put a lot of heat in the wood. You're just flashing off the surface. And she still has her sticker. So I'll finish up this other side, and my last one. And I'll do around the rim a little bit. I really want to hit this one, this knot, and seal that up. And then, this is ready to go back in the enclosure. So this is a really great way. Do it with, some safety. When you first start this torch, just do a little bit of gas. Don't turn it on wide open. It's hard to light wide open too. So just a little bit of gas. And, if it gets too hot, pull the heat away, blow it out. If you have water around in a bucket or a hose, that's awesome. But this is a really great way to sterilize your apitherapy equipment without adding chemicals. It's safe for your bees. It's safe for our patients. So you can buy these little propane fuels and these lighters like this for about $15 in the store. Sometimes the propane cylinder is a little thinner and taller. If it's propane, you're fine. And if you haven't used one of these, talk to your friends, see if somebody is familiar with it and wants to give it a try. But it just takes a little bit of heat and just knock down the surface. You can see all those little fibers burn off when we seal up all these little stumps and get those fumes out for our bees. So, and then on the inside where the girls live, you can see there's beeswax in here. I'm going to leave that. If they don't like it, they'll move it. But your bees are going to love the interior of that now because it's burnt and it's got some nice fresh beeswax. So I'm DiveGirl Deb, the Flippin Lyme Foundation. This is how I would encourage people to try to clean their enclosures. All right, everybody, I love ya. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.